Hello, everyone. Welcome to our North Star Reflections, my channel. I have a pick a card reading for you today. So the pick a card reading is, what is it that we need to release that's no longer serving us? Because a lot of times we can develop, certain habits or patterns as a result of experiences or traumatic events throughout our lives that have a tendency to become stuck in our unconscious, and we continue to play out these patterns, and we continue to participate in these habits, and they have a great deal of influence on how we manifest our current reality and the things that keep happening to us. So as I said, this is going to be a pick a card about releasing what is no longer serving you. With that said, this is going to be pile 1, pile 2, and pile 3. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get started with pile number 1. Crow, Shine, Shadow. I also wanted to add is that with this particular pick a card, I forgot to say that this reading could represent yourself, or it could also represent someone that's close to you, or someone that you're involved with in your life, or someone that you know. So you can take this reading a few ways. So let's just jump in to the first pile here. So right off the bat, what I'm seeing is that the initial wounding has something to do with the inner child. You can see that there. The inner child, it has to do with perhaps, when you were growing up, from your childhood. It could stem from that. It could also stem from the fact that you need to reconnect to your childhood. To me, it's basically saying that perhaps you didn't even get to really be a child. You didn't really get to be yourself. Maybe you were made to grow up at a very young age. You had a lot of expectations placed upon you as a child. As a result of this, you developed, shadow material. And shadow material is not something that's necessarily bad. It's something that we all inherently have within ourselves. It's the, parts of ourselves that we deemed unworthy, or, we felt rejected, or we didn't like, or we felt that we couldn't allow that part of ourselves to exist because, there was something inherently wrong with being that way. It wasn't natural. It was rejected. It wasn't accepted by others. So what happens is that we have a tendency to repress these types of, ways of being that are perfectly natural and inherent to who we authentically are. But because they've been repressed, from a place of woundedness, we operate from our shadow material, which has a great influence on the way that we manifest our realities and the things that we choose to do and our actions that we take in everyday life. So again, this is telling me something to do with the child itself, and as a result, this created a repression, and this created a type of shadow material for you. Now, this wounding was connected to what is represented by this card here is the Time Master. So that's saying that this was a person, a father figure, a male figure, just a male presence in general. It could have been a grandfather, even a friend, an uncle, a relative. But it's definitely a male authority figure that had this influence in your life. They could have been a very strict, critical, controlling nature to them. They could have been, you know, pretty cold, distant, and cut off. Where they pretty much had the mentality that, you know, there's no time for play. It's all about business and being responsible, and you need to grow up. You know, you're not allowed to be the child. You're not allowed to express those things because they're nonsense. Who has time for that, right? Time Master. So this is kind of a Saturnian authority figure that I'm seeing here. And as a result of the involvement of this person in this particular wounding, it really led you to a place of feeling just conflict and defeat. Let's see that there. Yeah, so feeling that conflict and defeat, it's from a place of like, you could feel a sense of futility, a sense of depression, a sense of what is the point? Because this person here could always make you feel, you know, as if it was never good enough. Anything that you ever did was just never good enough. There was always something wrong with it. So, you know, going back to the inner child, and, you know, children are naturally innocent. They're naturally, you know, innocent in the way that in nurturing and emotional beings. And a lot of times when we have a situation where we're involved in a toxic dysfunction of someone else that, you know, has these expectations that are placed upon us that are just so critical, and we feel conflicted, we feel defeated because we want to, you know, we want to do the right thing. We want to be accepted. We want to be loved. We want to feel that we matter. And this could also be a result of heavy conditioning, you know, growing up in the family. You know, this is just the way things are, and this is how you need to be, and this is how you need to act. And, you know, if you don't, then, well, you know, you're rejected and you don't really fit in, and you can feel pretty defeated and exhausted, always trying to live up to those ideals of someone else, of who you know, they think that you need to be. So the next card that we have here is the Sweat Lodge. Now, this card in this position is saying at this point, in order to remedy the situation at hand of what you're needing to release, it's symbolizing that you know, when you look at this card, it's almost like the cosmic mother, like returning to the cosmic mother wound itself. And then, you know, obviously what happens when we enter into a sweat lodge? You know, we're there and we're releasing, we're sweating, we're bringing the toxicity up and out of ourselves. But to me, this is really speaking about entering into that sacred place within inside of yourself, returning to the womb of the mother, of the inner nurturing, and really connecting to the opportunity to shed and heal from those aspects of, you know, where you've been operating from a place that you've outgrown. You don't have to repeat this pattern anymore from this conditioning resulting from your childhood. You know, so it's asking you to go within and really sit with the shadow material. This can seem really scary. This can seem like an impossible task, but it's not. It's just about reconnecting to who you truly are. And as a result of going inward, you're going to find the strength to stand your ground. You're going to learn to stand your ground in this situation and not remain in a state of conflict and defeat. And because you're able to stand your ground and stand in your truth and not operate from that place anymore, you're going to break the ties, the ancient ones. This is speaking to a pattern that has probably been going on for many generations. This is almost a karmic pattern. This is a pattern that is within the family that's being passed down from generation to generation to generation. But you don't have to keep repeating it. You can go within, do the inner work, stand your ground, break the cycle. And as a result, you become your own authority. You no longer need, you know, the guidance or direction or to feel like, you know, others, you know, can tell you what to do or how to be. You are the epitome. Excuse me. You are the epitome of your own authority at this point. You're empowered. And the medicine card, the crow came through. And the crow often represents the, you know, it often represents the fact that we're psychic. We're probably very sensitive, of a sensitive nature. You know, past, present, future. You're a seer. You're someone that has a very extremely sensitive nature. And this could also be relating to, you know, as a child, you were just a very naturally sensitive person. You were very nurturing, very emotional. But that's the part of you that got cut off, that was repressed, that became the shadow material because it was not acceptable. You know, it was all work, no play, you know, in order to be, you know, acceptable from this person, and you feeling conflicted and defeated constantly because, you know, it's just never good enough for them. So by returning to your own sensitive nature, emerging into the cosmic mother, you know, the womb of the mother, going back within yourself, reclaiming your inner sovereignty, learning to stand your own ground. You break these cycles. Break the cycles of the generations after generations after generations. Learn to become your own authority figure so that you can become a role model, a healthy role model, so that you and, you know, this pattern can be passed on to generations in a healthy way from here on out. All right, so let's get on to pile number 2. Okay, so for pile number 2, frog. Okay, so what this is saying to me, starting off, we have the corn here. Now, you know, when you think of cornfields, and we think about planting our seeds, you know, into the fields so that, you know, we can have the crops, the abundance. It's almost like the field of dreams to me. So to me, this is speaking to someone of a nature with, you know, they're a dreamer. They have a very idealistic nature. They're, you know, always planting their seeds into things. It's almost like a naivety that comes along with this, because I feel that this is someone who's a dreamer and idealistic, like I said, and they plant their seeds hoping for abundance into circumstances and other people, you know, to get the result. But it doesn't give them the result that they're looking for. So this has to do with the initial wounding of you really believing maybe in another person, or, you know, a situation that you really just planted all of your seeds and thought it was going to manifest, the field of dreams. But something happened, and as a result, there was an emotional loss. And this emotional loss had such a deep impact upon you. If you notice that, you can see from the heart center here that it's spiraling out. You know, and because of this emotional loss and the spiraling out, it's influencing your reality at the deepest levels. You know, so this is someone who just keeps planting seeds in the wrong way. Believing in others, believing in circumstances, you know, being a dreamer. And they get hurt over and over. They're getting hurt. They're experiencing that emotional loss. You know, and as a result, here we are. Here we go. Same thing. The giveaway. This is someone who sacrifices their self. They give their self away to other people, to situations, to circumstances. They're constantly they're giving their self away. You know, see how she's reaching here. And she's just giving away. She's not, you know, nurturing herself. There's nothing left for her. And as because she's constantly sacrificing, well, I say she, but this could, you know, be a he, or, as I said, an intimate partner or someone that you know. So that it could really be anyone. So I don't want to just, you know, make it sound like I'm talking about a she, but because of the constant sacrificing, though, here we are. We have the card fertility. That to me is almost speaking, it's like, because you had this idealistic, dreamy nature, you know, you were someone who just had these big plans, and you wanted to just, you know, believe in love and life, and you put your trust and you planted those seeds into the wrong people and situations that led to the emotional loss, and you just got into the habit of constantly sacrificing yourself for other people. Somewhere along the lines, you lost you. You lost your own identity. You don't feel that you're fertile. And what I mean by this in a symbolic way is that you feel that someone or something outside of you has to come along and complete you. You feel that someone or something outside of you has the power to make your dreams come true, that you're not capable of doing this for yourself. So you're constantly sacrificing yourself, and you're thinking, okay, well, the next one that comes along is going to be the one, or the next situation is going to give me what I want. But it doesn't happen. You keep just experiencing this emotional loss. So as a result, in order to remedy the situation and start to move forward, we have the drum card here. It's asking you to really return to yourself, to get in touch with the drum, the beat of your own drum, to really reconnect to that sense of identity of who you are, and quit thinking that something or someone outside of you is going to complete you. And another thing that could be happening in this situation is that you're giving yourself away and you're sacrificing because you need to be liked, because you feel that you need to be loved, you need to be accepted. And it's your way of gaining validation. It's your way of gaining a sense of, meaning and love and purpose. But in the process, through so much giving and sacrificing, you've lost touch with who you are. And you think that something outside of you, again, is just going to come along and it's finally going to be the one. Or it's finally going to be this situation or this circumstance that just turns my life around. But it's really, the drum, like I said, is asking you to really reconnect to the beat of your own drum, to reconnect to the rhythm of the drum, tune into the beating of your own heart. Listen to what it's saying. It's an invitation for you to take the bold step on your journey. It's like, once you start really deeply connecting to yourself and understanding from a place of why it is that this initial wounding, that you would look, to these things outside of yourself, instead of realizing that, you're complete with inside of yourself. It's about reclaiming your authenticity of who you are and knowing that you're enough. And by taking this journey, it's leading you into your destiny, your true destiny. Not thinking that everything outside of you is going to constantly, this is the one, like I'm saying, or this is going to complete me, or this is finally going to be the situation that turns my life around, or makes me happy, or makes me satisfied, or where I feel that I can finally, be secure. Don't be afraid to travel to the beat of a different drum. And as you start to become reconnected to this place of yourself, like I said, it's leading you on a path of destiny. This is your true destiny. Not all of this that you keep sidetracking yourself with, thinking that everything else is it. It's an illusion. Because your true destiny can start once you reconnect to yourself and realize that you are enough. You don't need anyone. You don't need anything to complete you. And, once you allow this true destiny to take hold and quit putting, your beliefs and your energy and your time into something that's going to just, make it all better, that's external, that's outside of you. You're actually going to get to a place where you are the gatherer. You start learning to gather for yourself, your own resources, your own inner strength and beauty. And you realize it's not out there. You've regathered your strength. You've rejuvenated yourself. You're learning to put yourself first again and quit sacrificing. You're learning to return to the place of self-love. And because of you gathering things for yourself instead of just giving them away all of the time, you're going to end up with a firm foundation. A foundation that will last the test of time. Not an illusion, not a field of dreams, not something outside of you. Because once you get to the place of that inner security within inside of yourself and you have that foundation, it doesn't make a shit about anything outside of yourself that happens. Nothing can take this firm foundation away from you anymore. Nothing can take this unless you keep repeating in the same pattern and the same habit of giving yourself away. And for the animal spirit that has come through, it is the frog. Now, the frog is a unique animal spirit to me. It represents earth and water. Because a frog can, it can be in water, and when it's born, it starts out as a tadpole, right? Essentially in the water, and then it makes its way onto land. So it's interchangeable. So it's definitely someone of an earthy nature that, is hardworking. But I think that it's speaking to the fact that you've become overworked and undernourished. And it's really vital to revisit that place of nurturing yourself. Water can be very cleansing. It can allow us to forgive. It can allow us to release even. So, it's just saying that it's time to dive in and, really regain that balance for yourself. You could be feeling completely depleted, like you're running on empty again from all the sacrificing that you keep doing from this place of woundedness. You don't need to do that anymore. All right. I hope that resonated with you. And I'm going to move into pile number 3. Neck, sorcerer, transformation, crow, temptation, serpent, accelerated motion, the beloved, and partnerships and alliances. Okay, so what pile number 3 is saying, what you need to release. Right off the bat, we have the sorcerer. So this is speaking to me about the fact that either you were exposed to someone of a very, dark, manipulative kind of nature. Someone that was very controlling and manipulative, and they operated from a place of fear. They're the type of person that was very vengeful or resentful, that seeks, that revenge, and they're of a vindictive nature, so to speak. This could be someone who enjoys power plays on other people in order to make their self feel good. So you could have been exposed to a situation with another individual around these dynamics, perhaps, at some point in your life or early on. And as a result, there was a transformation within inside of you. But, transformation is not always positive at times. Sometimes when we transform due to situations that we have in life, they have a negative effect upon us as a result of the experiences that we have, and they change us and mold us due to being exposed to these situations and these pain. So as a result of this encounter, there was a transformation that took place. But this transformation left you in a place of fear yourself. The crow. Perhaps from a place of fear of your own vulnerability to, not being able to, you don't want to expose yourself or put yourself out there in that situation to have to go through that same experience again. So, you could have, transformed to take on some of the qualities from this person, from the, original experience of this yourself. Or it could just also be speaking to the same person, even if, you didn't adopt the qualities of this, person, this really manipulative, dark, negative person. There was still a transformation within inside of you that led to really negative habits and behaviors on your part. And the crow really, it symbolizes to us that it's about finding congruence between who we say we are and who we really know ourselves to be. So it's like when you speak from a place of truth and you practice just being honest in that truth, everything starts to become a reflection of truth around you. But if you're operating from a place of fear, because, it's almost like, could you be lying about who you are, who you really are? Operating from that place of fear, then that's what's going to manifest into your reality. And, it's not about judging per se. It's not about judgment. It's just about acknowledging those, deeper things within side of yourself. This could be feelings of jealousy, greed, fear, lust, situations of, that nature that can be leading to you performing certain behaviors to other people. It's about coming into acceptance of those character flaws within inside of yourself and reconciling, to have a true transformation to reconcile the darker aspects of your nature so that, you're not really causing more harm to yourself or others at this point. It's about accepting the responsibility for your words and your deeds. And again, this, like I said, this could be, someone else. It doesn't necessarily have to be yourself. It could be someone that that's going through this. So as I said, because of this, what you're faced with is a constant temptation. a temptation to repeat those same patterns, those same habits, you know, of lying, of being manipulative, of power plays, of those darker aspects within inside of your psyche, even if it is from a place of fear inside of your mind that says, hey, I need to do this to protect myself, a defense mechanism, so to speak. So you're constantly feeling, this temptation to repeat this cycle because that pain and that fear has been so strong from this experience. But what you're being asked to do, the serpent, you're being asked to go within inside of yourself, to shed the skin of these old habits and old ways of being, these old ways of operating from these darker places of your psyche. And to know that you're inherently, safe, and that you don't have to operate from these places. You don't have to manipulate others in order to feel safe, in order to feel, empowered. This could also be someone that's really coming from a place of feeling just powerlessness. So they find themselves, with these behaviors, and they're tempted to keep repeating this cycle because they feel so powerless. So essentially the serpent is really, it's asking you to shed that old skin that you've been so attached to. And when we shed the skin, there's this vulnerable pink underbelly, that could bring you that fresh experience of life. And it doesn't have to be from this place of manipulation anymore. You can use this powerful energy to transform yourself from the inside out. Don't use your energies in a negative way to get your needs met through other people. This is about you reconnecting. When I think about the serpent, it reminds me of the Kundalini experiences. It can bring passion, it can bring healing, it can even bring, renewal to yourself as you're reconnecting to the places within inside of yourself and realizing that you're not powerless. But, it's often said that our greatest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. So by shedding your skin and really allowing yourself to come into your own power in a positive way, as a result of that, you will gain accelerated motion. Your life is going to take off in a new direction at a pretty quick, accelerated pace. And it doesn't have to remain in that, painful, dark, stagnated place of, just feeling powerlessness and fear. And you can really begin to move forward. And as a result of the accelerated motion, beloved, you can begin to have a recognition of the spirit within another person, and the spirit that's moving, towards, and through other people. It's a divine experience of healthy love. It's not from a place of, scarcity, of fear, of manipulation. It's from a place of owning your own power and knowing that, you don't have to live from that place, and that you can enter into, actual relationships that are healthy and not toxic at this point. You're learning through the path of love to expand being through your union with another person. It's like when you recognize the beloved in another, it's almost like you call forth the highest and purest nature. It is the path of love. Not necessarily the kind of love where you fall in and out of, or where, all these projections that you're placing onto other people or they're placing onto you. Because, really, we're just mirroring one another, right? We get to mirror back our deeper longings within inside of ourselves, rather than just revealing our true selves. It's a painful process of when you play this game through these projections and manipulations, and you get this projected back to you, and then you're projecting to other people. But when you're able to really move down that path, like I said, of love, and recognize the love in another being through that path of union, then you're just able to be your authentic self at that point. Instead of having to walk through the fire of the emotions again and again and again. And like I said, when you get to this place, because of, you're shedding the skin, you're owning your own power, you're leaving behind the temptation to keep repeating this cycle. It's going to be like instantaneous, like accelerated, that you're going to be able to have these healthy relationships. And then look here, the last card is partnerships and alliances. So it's like I'm saying, is that by breaking this habit and this initial wound of being exposed to this type of experience, and maybe feeling that you have to be this way to other people, or not necessarily that you have to be this way, but just operating from an unconscious place that you are being this way, or someone's being this way to you. This could be some deep, obsessive, toxic, plutonian type relationships that you keep engaging in over and over. There doesn't need to be power plays. Because when you own your power, you accelerate and manifest into your life the right person for you. The beloved, a sacred union of love where you're both able to recognize, the divine within each of you. It doesn't have to be about manipulation. It doesn't have to be about any of that. And true transformation can take place. And as a result, there's new partnerships and alliances that are healthy, that leads to a place of being truly fulfilled in that sense. And so the animal message that came through, in fact, was the golden egg for this pile. And what that is speaking about is, this is a message that really has to do with the center of the heart. The golden egg represents a message that needs to be discerned. And you can't really hear it. It's almost like, you need to retreat from the noise of everyday life. And the magic of the golden egg, it flourishes in the quiet, undistracted, noise-free, when you're able to truly, have that time and that space for discernment, for things to naturally unfold, no rushing or like pushing or just grasping at things. It's saying, you need to get out of your mind. You need to let your mind settle, to just breathe, and breathe yourself into a place of calmness and just ask the question, what weighs the heaviest on your heart? And just stay open to any response that you hear at that point. Really, truly just listen to it. Don't dismiss what is coming up for you. This is asking you to become intimate with your very own essence and to become comfortable with your own vulnerability deep within inside of yourself. It could be a really tender place, but ultimately the aim would be to really feel from a place of gratitude, just to have that gratitude arising from deep within inside of yourself, to reconnect to your own heart space. Past all of the wounding from this experience, to eliminate these power plays, this toxicity, and to really reconnect, reclaim your power, be able to enter into, relationships that are divine relationships that are meant for you, these partnerships and alliances, and to allow new people into your life. Okay, I hope that resonated, and I would just like to thank everyone for tuning in and watching this pick a card reading. If you would like to see more pick a card readings from me, please comment below or subscribe to my channel. I plan on doing some more pick a card readings for you guys, so I hope that it resonated. If it did, let me know. If you would like to see any particular pick a card, also feel free to please drop that in the comments below. And thank you for allowing me to provide this content to you guys. So with that said, I will catch you guys later. And I want to just end with, stay true and be you, dear ones. So much love.